A lifetime savings account where the government will give you £1,000 a year for free. What could be the catch, and is it worth opening one? Stick around, because today we're going to talk about LISAs. So what is a LISA? It's a lifetime individual savings account in which you can save up to £4,000 a year, and the government will give you a bonus of 25% of that, which is £1,000 a year. You must be between the ages of 18 and 39 to open one, but here's the main catch. You can only use it to buy your first home in the UK, and the value of the home has to be under £450,000, and this purchase has to be using a mortgage. And if you don't want to do that, you can access the money after you turn 60, or you can just cash out whenever you want, but you would have to pay 25% of the value of the money that you're taking out back to the government, and this would usually be more than what the government has given you. If you had put in, for example, £4,000 into your life, and the government gave you £1,000 on top of that, because 1,000 is 25% of 4,000, you now have 5,000. And if you cash this out before the age of 60, or for a reason other than buying a house, you now have to pay 25% on £5,000, which is £1,250. So you're giving the government back £250 extra. So there are two types of LISAs. There's a cash LISA and there's a stocks and shares LISA. The cash LISA, it's like a high interest savings account, very low risk. Your cash is just there, you're gaining pretty much interest on it. And a stocks and shares LISA is, as the name might suggest, a LISA in which your cash is invested into stocks and shares, and it would obviously be higher risk than just a cash LISA. You also have a higher return because it depends on the performance of the stock market. So the stocks and shares LISA could have like double the return of a cash LISA, which is just the interest, and you would also have to pay around like 0.25 to 1% annual fees for the stocks and shares LISA. So for most people, it would probably be fine just leaving it in the stocks and shares LISA to benefit from the higher returns and just hope that the stock market doesn't like suddenly crash or collapse or something. Some people might think it's worth moving to the cash LISA when they're nearing the time of cashing out, just to make sure that their cash is more secure and that it's not going to like suddenly when they need it the most. Of course, before we continue, I'm just going to say that nothing in this video is financial advice and it's for entertainment purposes only. So the big question is, why is the government giving you free money? Even though it's not a lot of free money, like £1,000 a year max, but why is the government giving you free money? So obviously this is aimed at people like, as the name suggests, lifetime ISA. You would be accumulating money in this for probably like decades. So like 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. In 10 years, that's 40,000, 20 years, 80,000 minimum. This is not to mention the gains you would gain from interest or the stocks and shares rising and the compounding. Like it would be most likely way over 80,000, but this is just like, but this would be like at a minimum in 20 years. Or if it was in 10 years, it would be significantly more than 40,000. And in this many years, the government would have given you 10 or 20,000 pounds for free, basically. So what is in it for them? So first of all, obviously, if you just decide to like cancel all this and you pay back 25%, they're making back profit, because for every 1,000 they gave you, you're giving them 1,250. And if you take a mortgage to buy your first house, you're going to be paying interest to banks, and they specify that you have to take a mortgage. Like you can't take it out and like in cash buy a house. It has to be a mortgage. That's how they can make more money directly from that, by taxing the banks, etc. By taxing the banks that are lending you the money. And then of course paying council tax or inheritance tax later on, and of course paying council tax, capital gains tax. And if you later sell the house to someone else and they buy it and it's not their first house and it's over £500,000, for example, they would be paying stamp duty on it as well, stamp duty, land tax on it as well. And basically they make money from you and this house that you're buying, like regardless of what happens. if something happens to you, they get inheritance tax. Anything around the house, like parking, waste disposal, cleaning services, anything that gets done, they get a cut from it. You having a house benefits them in like every way. Benefits them like financially as well, not just that, oh, our resident has a house. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Like, whatever, they're basically investing money into you and getting more back. Like, whatever, fair enough. But just the idea that it's not really free money. Can you use a LISA with a halal mortgage, like a Sharia-compliant mortgage? Yes, you can, because they just want it to be some sort of like payment plan sort of thing. So even if it's Sharia compliant, you can use that. So you could use like some Islamic banking or something like that. So LISA compared to other options. So a LISA compared to a stocks and shares ISA, or having no ISA or LISA at all. What's the difference? So having no individual savings account, no ISA, means you won't benefit from the tax-free growth, which by the way is only for residents. So if you're a British citizen who's a non-resident, you're not allowed to add to your ISA or LISA or whatever, unless you can only add to it during the period that you are a resident. And if you were a resident and you had an ISA and then you stopped being a resident, you can still keep that ISA open and growing and whatever, but you just can't add more money to it unless you're like working for the embassy or military or something like that. A normal stocks and shares ISA doesn't get this government bonus, but it also has no penalty if you withdraw early, or like you can withdraw from a normal ISA anytime and you can put up to £20,000 a year in it, but you don't get the government bonus. So to get the government bonus, it has to be the lifetime ISA, which you can only use to buy a house or access after you're 60 years old. And I don't know, they might need to like change that limit, because like there's not many houses in London that are less than £450,000. So I don't know how that's gonna work. A LISA could work well for you if you're like definitely planning to live in the UK forever. Like you're planning to buy your first house in the UK and live in it and whatever. I mean, I guess you could like rent it out if you're living abroad or whatever, but I think this whole thing doesn't really apply to people living abroad. So if you're planning to buy your first house, like you don't have any other property in the UK, this would be your first house, a LISA could work for you. But like if you think one day you might want to move abroad or something, a LISA is probably not the best idea. Like, why have that restriction? Just go with a normal ISA or just whatever, like normal, none of these. So in summary, should you get a LISA? So a LISA could work for you. I'm just gonna repeat just so we're clear on everything. A LISA could work for you if you're planning to buy your first house in the UK and you're like very sure about that, which I don't know who's very sure about anything. If you are, maybe this could work for you. And if you think you can find a home that you would want to buy as your first home and it's gonna cost less than £450,000, which this limit is gonna probably increase because like the way house prices are going up, like I don't think this is gonna be like sustainable. And you're okay using mortgage or payment plan sort of thing, financing to buy your first property, which means like you have to be ready to dedicate like the next 20 years of your income or whatever to this property.
This is given that by the age of like 40 you still haven't bought a property.
Or you just want there to be this money when you turn 60 and you're not really worried about before 60, you're just gonna do other stuff. And a LISA is not really right for you if you want some more flexibility and you might need the money before you're 60, because you don't want to be paying back more than the bonus that you got, or you're not sure where you live in the future, which you really never know. Like anytime you might just see any other country or any opportunity somewhere and want to try something out, and then you'll think, oh wait, but I have this LISA and like I'm gonna be stuck now. I mean, if it's a good enough opportunity, you could just say, okay, I'll just pay this extra like penalty to get out of it now or something. Or if you're living in London and it's unlikely that you're going to find anything under 450,000 that you'd want to live in. So that's something to think about, and that's all for this video. Please let me know your thoughts below, like and subscribe and share with your friends and family. And if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.